Let's go to Michael Shure at the Donald Trump's party/headquarters for tonight. Michael, what do you have for us there?
Well, Trump is here and he's about to come on stage here. They haven't called it. People here are kind of saying, make the call, make the call, make the call. That's what they were chanting inside. I was inside talking to some of the veterans. A couple of people that spoke at the convention. Some of the one guy who was at Benghazi. People are here are pretty pumped about Donald Trump, and it's the same. What's interesting, guys, and Anna, is that you see what resonated when you're out on the trail and you see, and we've shown this, and Jordan has done a great job, and so has Eric, showing the people at these Trump rallies. And you come to New York, and it's a very different world I find here. They all have the red hats, but it's sort of a refined Trump supporter here. Of course, this is the donor class of Trump people who worked for him, people who've been with him for a long time. I don't think that they have anything in common with the people that we've seen on the trail at these rallies with their Confederate flags and their overalls. It's a very different type of a pitchfork revolution, I guess. But in any case, here I think there's a sense of elation, some surprise. I think people said that they were confident, but in fact, beforehand, I didn't speak to too many people who were really confident here. But there were a lot of people walked in and said, hey, we had a really good feeling about this, and they were right.
Yeah. And so that's really interesting. And I think in that report is the beginning of the end for Trump. So now, this is the beginning of the beginning. I understand that. But at some point, the guys in the overalls are going to come to find out that the guys that you're in the room with, Michael, are actually in charge, and that they don't have
Right.
overalls on, and that that same donor class is still in charge. And so, any kind of insight into that donor class is would be very interesting to us. Do you like? How many people are there? Is it a big celebration? Does it appear to be any actual Trump supporters that aren't part of, in a sense, his establishment, or is it all staffers and donors?
Well, I mean, I think it's a mix of both. It's hard to tell at these events on election night, Cenk. But what you do have is I spoke to somebody who was in a room in the back with a lot of the donors, and the donors were far more somber. The RNC donors were far more somber than the people who worked on this campaign, the people who supported it, and people who gave money to it. But the actual sort of the financial wing of the RNC that's here, this was reported to me by one of the people I spoke to, were sort of somber in that room, which I found interesting,
I know why.
meaning that they see the Republican Party kind of being taken from them in a sense.
Well, that's part of it. No, you know what the other part of it is? The stock market crashed.
Right,
So
that's
those, no,
true.
I'm being dead serious. Those donors are very wealthy, and they're like,
Right.
all right, great, we're gonna get Trump, and oh no, I just lost 12% of my net worth because I supported Trump. What have I done?
Well, there
So
is there is that, but Cenk, I was speaking to somebody. I just talked to them about we were standing at a bar, and I talked to him about the stock market going down. He said, "Well, you know what that means?" And I said, "What?" Because I don't. He said, that means that it's a buyer's market. It's an opportunity to make money. It's an opportunity to buy when the market is low and people are selling off. So these are people who can vulture in to people who do lose a lot of money, come in and then make a killing later.
So it's funny because that reminds me of what Trump said about the crash. He said, "Oh, that was a great opportunity to buy low. You
Right.
lost your jobs, you lost your house. Great, I'm going to scoop on in, take your house for cheap since you can't afford it anymore, and that's how I'm going to make money." So
Yeah.
some of the folks in that room are thinking, "Okay, bargain basement shopping time." And so if you feel pain or your pension feels pain, your pension fund, that's the guys running that are not quite as savvy, right? This is our moment. We come in and we capitalize on this. And some of them might be thinking, hey, man, this is part of the reason we ran, right?
Yeah, no,
To
no,
capitalize.
and Cenk, one other little anecdote. I spoke to three members of Congress tonight. Two of them Democrats, one of them a Republican, and all three of them said, they said yes, the Clinton mattered, yes, third party mattered a little bit, but they all, I mean, and it's just three, so that let's say they all is not such a big thing to say. All three said that James Comey was the reason that Hillary Clinton lost tonight. Now, I think the Democrats would be foolish to go with that narrative for a very long time. But I found that interesting because I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel that way when it happened. I know Ben Mankiewicz felt that was a big changer, and maybe it was, and maybe that stop of momentum. But I don't think any of these polls, I mean, the only winner in these polls, we didn't see any polls other than that LA Times poll, the USC Dorn-Cipher poll. Those are the only polls that showed Trump ahead. And so I don't know where you can just point to Jim Comey as the reason for this. And again, there's lots of blame to go around. I hate that sort of blame thing. It didn't work for the Republicans last time because the autopsy that they did produced Donald Trump, and that wasn't what they were going for with their autopsy. But I thought that was really interesting. Democrats, the two Democrats I spoke to, said it is a disaster. Both of them reluctant to go back to Congress now because there's a Republican president, Republican Senate, Republican House, and there's going to be that court, which is going to be so conservative. They said we're not going to be able to get anything done. We don't even have enough to stop what these people want to do.
Yep. It's an absolute disaster for the Democratic Party. And if their conclusion is, oh, it was the happenstance of James Comey making an announcement, everything else is fine, wrong conclusion. And the disasters will continue. So, look, Michael, I'm very curious as you go forward here to see if, in your continued reporting, to see how that Democratic Party, you know, I don't want to say changes because maybe they don't change at all, how they react, right? So,
Right. I think that's so interesting. You're right, Jen.
yeah, I mean, what's the lessons they learned? Did they learn any lessons? I mean,
Right.
here in the studio, we think, no, the Democratic Party is in shambles. This corporatist strategy is a disaster. The Evan Bayh strategy it did not work and is never going to work. If they didn't learn that lesson, they're in for a world of hurt.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that there's an Evan Bayh strategy. A lot of Democrats thought that was a sort of a smart pick because he had name recognition. They had nobody else that could go up against the Republican opponent there. So I don't know that race alone. I think a lot of people were really lukewarm on that, even within the Democratic Party. But it was somebody that all of a sudden they said, "Oh wait, we could maybe win this race." But again, but I know what you're talking about. I know you're talking about the sort of Evan Bayh wing of the party, and that's true.
Yeah. All right. Last thing, Michael.
Yeah.
So we're getting word that Hillary Clinton is not going to speak tonight.
Right.
She's down in Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Alaska now. She would have to win all of them and Minnesota, which she's up in. In Wisconsin,
Yeah.
we have 99% reporting, and she's down by 2.6%. I don't know why that's not called by everybody. It's over. She's lost Wisconsin. She lost the race.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jank, and I think that the Democrats are just trying to make sure every vote's counted. But I think also it buys a little bit of time. Listen, before these election nights, as we now know, these people are armed with legal teams, armed with mathematic teams, people that go in, pollsters that go in and look at what the results were from, every different angle, see if there's anything to litigate, get reports. But I think we would have across the wires at this point tonight heard of irregularities if there were irregularities. And I haven't heard very much, and I've been looking for that. Just hasn't come out. But I think that's what's in play here. I also think that gives them a little time to think. It doesn't matter to them when they do it. It is a close race, even if these, states get split, it's still a close race. And I think that they just want to afford themselves that time. But yeah, the people here are impatient with that. It seems a foregone conclusion that Trump has won tonight. But maybe there is something that they're on to that nobody else knows about, and I guess they have the right to do that. But I'm tired.
Yeah, I just.
Oh, they called it.
It's over. Who called it?
AP called Wisconsin and then the race.
It's over. Now, look, we called it a while back, but now it's official. AP calling Wisconsin and the whole race. Trump is president. Okay.
So AP is called Wisconsin. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
Jack?
AP called Wisconsin just now. Now. So it's over.
So that would that would end the presidential race.
Yeah, it's over. He was at 266 before Wisconsin. Wisconsin is 10 points. That gets him to 276, well past the 270 that he needed. Donald Trump's president of the United States. So, actually, one more thing, Michael. Do you have any idea when he's going to speak tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to say, who really knows what Donald Trump's going to say? It's a fool's errand to predict that. I think that he's going to say, we knew we had it coming. We knew we had a good feeling here. America has spoken. Hey, this is great. New day in America. We won the Senate. We won the House. He's going to congratulate the people who work with him. I don't know what he's going to say about Hillary Clinton, but he may say something disparaging, but I think not. I think he will now segue into he's going to apparently have lunch with President Obama next week, because President Obama said that he's going to meet with the winner next week. So let's see. I think maybe he's going to turn a new page. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to thank Rudy Giuliani and say he's going to be a great Attorney General, and Newt Gingrich is going to be a great Secretary of State, and Sean Hannity is going to be my Chief of Staff. Who really knows what he's going to say?
The Young Turks isn't just us, it's also you guys. You make this show possible, and we want to thank you for it, and we want to grow together. We want to be too strong. TYTnetwork.com/join. Let's do it.